Everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Starlink. Today we're looking at Elon Musk and what he's been up to with his company, SpaceX. We've got some huge news, especially in regards to Starlink. The news on the radar is that Elon Musk and the investors within the company of SpaceX, of course, they've decided that it is no longer useful for them to complete an IPO for SpaceX or for Starlink at the moment. So for early future SpaceX and Starlink's IPO, it's not looking likely. It's not looking like a real possibility at all. And I just want to go through what they have to say, especially what Elon has had to say. Now, this is very important because for retail investors like you and I, we've been trying to get our hands on SpaceX shares or at least Starlink shares. And to be honest, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Christmas for us this year, if I'm being completely honest. For now, the only company that we can get our hands on that Elon Musk has anything to do with, to be honest, is Tesla. And while Tesla is amazing, we'd really like to get our hands on the space industry. Come on, let's be honest. Now, let's look at what they had to say. If I'm being completely honest, I already knew the reason why they were not really considering an IPO anymore. And if I'm being completely honest, it should be obvious to you as well. The simple fact is they don't need to. The main reason why anyone go public with their company is to raise funding. But because of the huge success of Starlink, they don't need to raise funding at the moment. Let's be honest, for the last few years, Elon Musk companies haven't been struggling to raise capital at all. Any venture that Elon ventures into instantly creates a lot of hype, a lot of attention, and people want to get in on it, even Twitter, X. So Starlink is somewhat similar, it's not like they were short on investment. They could go the private route, which begs the question. Did they go the private route? And we perhaps don't know because it is a private company. So always keep that in mind. SpaceX is a private company. We are the public. We're not privy to the information and to their personal data because we don't own any shares in that company. We have no legal possession over that company. So they might have gone the route of taking on private investors. I'm sure they have. SpaceX have done this for a very long time. So has Tesla. But did they do this specifically for Starlink? I'm not too sure because this is one of the reasons they were thinking of taking an IPO route. The reason they haven't done that anymore, in my opinion, is simply because the business is doing too good. Apparently right now they have about 2 million customers in Starlink and it's constantly expanding. 2 million customers paying you on a monthly basis. What is it, like $80 to $90 for Starlink? It's not cheap, and they have to pay for the hardware as well. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I would include the hardware in the overall cost. So it's really interesting why they didn't go that route, why they didn't include the hardware in the overall cost. But at the same time, it's perhaps because they want to avoid getting people into legal contracts, but also getting some upfront payments, getting some commitments. If you buy the actual tech, you're far more committed to staying with Starlink than to just giving it up. Whenever you take out a new internet, whenever you go with a new internet provider, they typically supply you with a lot of the equipment. But with Starlink, you can see it's vastly different. The equipments are way more expensive. The internet is vastly different. The access to said internet, it's different. I could get Starlink right now and just point it outside of my bedroom window, and that's it. But thankfully, it's far too expensive for what I need right now. If I lived remotely, that would be perfect, but I don't. So let's look at what Reuters has to say. Elon on Wednesday denied a report that his rocket company SpaceX was discussing an initial public offering for its satellite internet business, Starlink, as soon as 2024. He called it false in reply to a post on social media platform X that shared a Bloomberg News report saying SpaceX had been moving the unit's asset to a wholly owned unit that would ultimately be spun off. So the idea there was to get Starlink separated from SpaceX, but also that would provide more difficulty for SpaceX because it would still own Starlink, but not entirely. So now Starlink would have to pay SpaceX whenever they want to use their rockets, which is weird because they own the company, but they'd obviously pay a discount because you own the company. But at the same time, can we just avoid all of that hassle? Avoiding an IPO avoids all of that hassle, essentially. The billionaire entrepreneur, as previously said, he intended to list Starlink when revenue grew and cash flow becomes smooth and predictable. Earlier this month, he said Starlink had achieved cash flow break even. SpaceX has an estimate value of 150 billion. Keep in mind, a couple years ago, this company was only valuation at 100 billion. Now it's 150 billion. I understand why. That's mind-boggling. Seriously. And it's only going to explode more. With the Starship advancing in innovation, they're going to be mining outer space quite soon. SpaceX will mine outer space. You've heard it here first. I'm quite sure SpaceX will mine outer space technology and asteroids. The value that's up there, it's far too much to give up. There's so much valuable up there. Why wouldn't they mine outer space? And it's also a USA-led company as well. Oh yeah, they'll be first to do that. But you can expect China to be right behind them. You can expect India to be right behind them. You can probably expect Russia to be quite behind them, and perhaps some other competitors as well. But we're still a decade or two away from this, but that's the future. Space mining. Elon is going to do it. SpaceX is going to do it. Now with Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' company, would they do that as well? Of course they would. Everything Elon has announced so far, SpaceX is going to put satellites into outer space. Jeff Bezos' company, Blue Origin, has planned to do the same.
We could learn to harness the power of space, the resources of space. We could tap the limitless resources to help this planet.
I mean, everyone's familiar with this idea of locally sourced goods, and this is just a really extreme version of that.
The moon is where we'll learn to do all this.
The reality that, I don't know, Jeff Bezos could provide internet to so many people and could advertise this service on Amazon. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, these two are going to make the space very interesting. I'm looking forward to this. What if Blue Origin IPO? Now that's even more interesting. It's not IPO'd yet, I don't believe. Virgin Galactica is IPO'd, but Blue Origin, not yet. I would like to see that. Now that's a real possibility in my opinion. It's not like they need the funding, but I think a more public sentiment would go towards Jeff Bezos' mindset, in my opinion. Now, like I said, 150 billion valuation for SpaceX. And it's the first private company to send humans into orbits. Its breakthrough has left rivals, including Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, scrambling to keep pace as reusable rockets significantly reduce the launch costs. Starlink unit is the world's largest satellite operator. On Wednesday, it obtained a contract to offer free internet in Mexico until the end of 2026. Hold on a minute, I did not hear about this. On Wednesday, it obtained a contract to offer free internet in Mexico until the end of 2026. I've never heard of this. Could someone clarify this? I might have to do some additional research on this. Now, I've got a statement from the CEO and founder Venture Capital Fortuna Investment. And I quote, this is by Justice Palmer. I believe Musk will take Starlink out next year, but maybe 2025, 2026. He's waiting for a level of stability or predictability in revenue. When the IPO happens, it will be an extremely strong catalyst for everything space related. So people are still anticipating an IPO for Starlink and SpaceX, but mostly Starlink. And that's kind of exciting. I, for one, I'm definitely looking forward to this. It's kind of difficult to say when it would happen, but people are predicting that they want to have the company to be able to have a bit more stability within this company before they go fully IPO with this company. But the fact that it's even on the discussion table, it's astronomical. I'm really looking forward to where they take this company and the innovation and the IPO, of course, the future IPO. Whatever the valuation turns out to be, it's going to get a lot of attention, which means that the share price is going to explode. Absolutely. People want to get into this company so badly. People are hungry to get into more of Elon Musk's companies, especially one that's doing so well as Starlink. When will they hit 10 million customers, 100 million customers? Is it possible? Of course they will. They've got so much partnership with Tesla. You know, Tesla is doing so many things around the world. It's really an open market for them. It's playtime. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Check out my Twitter/X account. This is where we talk more about investment opportunities. And by the way, this is not financial advice. It's just for entertainment and for educational purposes. I'm being educated. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.